Am I the jerk for not going to my sister's wedding? So my family dynamic is a little complicated, but I have an older and younger sister. My older sister is 5.5 years older than I am, and we have never had a relationship. We grew up in the same house, but she hated me when I was born, possibly because I took attention from her. I tried very hard to develop a relationship with her when I was younger and tried even harder when I got to high school and college, but it never worked. I finally gave up on forcing a relationship with her because she was obviously not receptive. I decided I tried my best, and it was not my fault. It is always a little awkward because my younger sister and older sister are close, and I am also close with my younger sister, so it feels like she is in between us a little. It does not even bother me anymore that my older sister was so against having a relationship with me. We are very different and would probably just butt heads even more if we had a relationship of any sort. My parents are very traditional conservative types, and they pressured my older sister to invite me to her wedding. My mother insisted that I go and said I would regret it later if I did not go. I honestly feel like my sister was probably happier without me there unless she wanted to pretend we have a perfect family dynamic. My parents are upset that I did not go, and they said I cannot come on our family vacation next month. I am a little surprised that they are not putting themselves in my shoes at all on this one. I asked my younger sister if my older sister seemed upset, and she said she never mentioned me and was mostly worried about the weather that day because the wedding was outside. It seems that my parents are more upset because they did not come off as perfect parents. People probably noticed my absence and wondered why. My older sister does not care, so I do not think anyone should care. I do not feel like I missed out on anything. The way my sister treats me, it was basically a stranger's wedding. Am I the asshole? My younger sister just messaged me and let me know that she told my parents she would not go on vacation with them if they did not let me go. I did not prompt her to do that, and I do not know what their response will be. Also, I forgot to mention that when my mother was talking my older sister into inviting me, she said she would not pay for the wedding if she did not invite me. My older sister is also a little more traditional and conservative, so I think the perfect family image thing could have swayed her some as well, but the money was the biggest factor. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. If your parents wanted to present a happy family, they should have actually addressed your sister's issues way back when. An invitation is not an order to attend, and this situation reeks of favoritism. Ask your parents how they intend to explain their holiday photos to friends and relatives when neither you nor your younger sister are in them. Tell them you plan to tell anyone who asks the truth. Am I the jerk for being upset that a parent is not respecting my house rules when visiting me? My dad recently moved to the area and has visited my house several times. When he visits, he sleeps on my couch and uses my bathroom. I have mild obsessive-compulsive disorder, and part of the way it manifests is germophobia. Because I am also autistic, I am already pretty uncomfortable with visitors. My house is really the only place I feel safe and like I can be myself. When people share spaces like my bathroom and do not share the same, or at least average, standards of hygiene, I feel like I am covered in ants, and it makes me want to crawl out of my skin. When he visited the first time, I mentioned offhand that I really prefer that the toilet seat be closed before flushing. I know the poo plume probably sounds grosser than it is, but the idea of fecal particles getting on my towels and toothbrush is so gross to me. He did it a couple of times but then continued leaving the lid up. I also noticed that he never washes his hands properly. If he does, it is for no exaggeration, 1 to 2 seconds without soap, even after going to the bathroom or digging in mud while helping with yard work. I make sure he knows his help is super appreciated. I ask that while he uses my restroom, he just keep the lid closed and wash his hands, especially if he is going to be using my kitchen. He is visiting now, and again, he is ignoring my requests. I kind of hate myself for it, but I ended up putting a sticky note in the bathroom that says, "Please close the lid of the toilet before flushing." I would usually never do something like that, but after a certain number of visits, I thought maybe he just had a bad memory. Even with the note, he will not close the lid or wash his hands. In his own house, he can do whatever he wants. In his space, his rules. But especially with my autism and mild obsessive-compulsive disorder, I really wish he would respect the very few, zero-effort rules I have. Today I tried asking him again to please close the lid and wash his hands if we are sharing a bathroom and kitchen, as it causes me significant discomfort when he does not. He outright refused and said he is not going to discuss it. He says something is wrong if I feel strongly about little things like this. I really feel like people should respect others' house rules when they visit, especially if it takes little to no effort. But he reacted so strongly and gets upset when I bring up how important hygiene is to me that I am starting to wonder if I am actually being unreasonable. Am I the asshole? The solution is obvious. He doesn't visit your home anymore. If he stresses you out, then just visit him in public. There's no law that says you have to host guests in your home for overnight stays, no matter how much DNA they share with you. Prevent him from visiting until he agrees to respect your boundaries. Am I the jerk for asking my social worker to let me live with my grandma instead of my aunt? My mom lost custody of me 3 years ago. She has always had issues and has been in jail a few times. I, a 15-year-old male, have no father in my life, so I would go to my aunt typically until my mom got out and took me back. But then she lost custody of me for real, and my aunt took me in. My aunt was going through her own really difficult time. My uncle, her husband, died, and she was left alone with her 10-year-old son. A few months later, she met a man called James. They hit it off, moved in together, and got married by the end of that same year. They met in February. James has an 11-year-old daughter. James's ex had divorced him a few years before and was not around their daughter. She did not remember her mom and was feeling mixed about the blended family. Sometimes she really wanted a mom, and other times she did not want to have a new mom or share her dad with my cousin. The two kids could not get along, and living with them was miserable. My cousin misses his dad so much and is angry that his mom married again so fast. He was mad that James' daughter was sometimes calling his mom, and other times telling her she is not her mom and to go away. He was angry James was trying to do stuff for him that his dad used to do, such as taking him hiking, participating in Father's Day events, and similar activities. It was such a mess, and I was miserable being in the middle of all that. They were in therapy, and everyone came back from that so unhappy. In the end, I was talking to my social worker, and I asked if I could live with my grandma instead. Grandma said yes. She was so happy. I moved in with her last week, but my aunt was so hurt I did that, and my cousin misses me. He asked if he could live with me and grandma too. He told grandma he does not want to live with James or Katie, James' daughter, anymore, and he would be way happier with her and me. My aunt was even more devastated by this. She told my cousin he still had her, and he told her he did not want James or Katie, and he could not have her without them. They ended up talking, and he told her he wished James and Katie would go away forever and never come back. I think some of my aunt's anger came from that and was directed at me over my cousin, but it made her get super angry that I had asked to leave. She said she was always there for me, and why did I want so badly to leave and other things? Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. It is normal to want stability in life after everything that has happened. While the aunt may be hurt, she should try to see the choice from a different point of view, especially given the new chaos at home. It's important to take care of one's own well-being, and staying with grandma could be a relief for everyone involved. Am I the jerk for telling my partner to stop putting my belongings in their child's room? My boyfriend, who is a 30-year-old male, and I, a 25-year-old female, have been together for over 3 years and living together for 2. He has a 13-year-old son from a previous relationship. His son stays at our house from Friday night to Monday morning. Since we moved in together, there has been an ongoing issue where my things end up in his son's room, especially if my boyfriend is cleaning or moving stuff around. Last week, I came home from work and realized my S5 was missing the HDMI cord. It was in his son's room, disconnected and on the floor. His son had used it earlier and just unplugged it instead of putting it back. My boyfriend let him borrow it, so he should have put it back when his son was done. I even bought his son a couple of cords so my boyfriend would stop taking mine for him to use. I have no idea what happened to them. The other day, I was looking for my dog's combing supplies. She has her own cabinet of dog stuff. They somehow ended up in his son's room. My boyfriend said he was reorganizing the cabinet and took some things out, and he must have moved the comb in the process. Today, my boyfriend was taking a nap, and I was going to go to the gym. I could not find my headphones. They are usually in my gym bag, but I had taken them out to charge earlier today. I looked in his son's room but did not see them. I looked elsewhere but could not find them. When my boyfriend woke up, I asked him where my headphones were. He went into his son's room and said he put them in his closet by accident while cleaning around the house. His headphones were also in the closet. I honestly lost it. I told him I am so tired of having to question where my things are. Our house is not cluttered. It is hardly messy. There is no reason for my things to be in someone else's room. I told him that if I have something in one spot, he does not need to move it. My headphones being on the charger is not inconveniencing anyone. He said I am overreacting and it's harmless to just go into his son's room and look for something if I need to. He said that he accidentally and subconsciously moves things and doesn't realize they are mine. I called his bluff because this has been an issue for 2 years. I told him I am just not going to leave anything that is mine around the house anymore. Not even a pair of shoes at the front door. I also do not like having to look in other people's rooms or playing hide and seek with my things. I would hate for someone to look through my things or room. If he wants to put his stuff in his son's room, by all means, do it. Which he does sometimes. But I told him to stop putting my stuff in there. I feel like a jerk just typing this. We have a great relationship and hardly argue. However, I have asked him in the past to please not do this, and he isn't getting it. Am I overreacting? Am I the jerk for not wanting my stuff in his son's room? You did nothing wrong here. Your boyfriend has absolutely no reason to move your things. If it were an accident or subconscious, then how did he immediately know where they were? This is some weird power move he's doing and it needs to stop. Why is he only moving your stuff? Am I the jerk for not letting my parent have my Airpods? Hi, I am a 17-year-old female, and recently I upgraded to a pair of new Airpods Pro. I had the first ones, Generation 2, before. I had them for about a year, and I also own another pair of Sony headphones. Since I had the money and was saving up a bit from the part-time job I have, I got them. At first, I wasn't too sure because I knew my Hispanic mom would not be too happy with my purchase. However, it is my money that I've earned, and I feel like I should be able to use it on things I want. I got them, and automatically my mom started lecturing me and telling me that I already have too many electronics. She exclaimed, "What else do you need?" And she brought up how I'm not happy with what I have. She then proceeded to take them from me and told me that they are hers now because I lost a pair of Bluetooth earbuds years ago. By the way, those were not $200, which is what I paid for the Airpods Pro. I took them back and told her they are mine because I paid for them. I was feeling so suffocated with the complaints and lectures, so I decided I was just going to return them the next day. I placed the box with everything in it, including the Airpods, right next to my bed, and in the morning they were gone. I went into her room, and she had them. At this point, I was getting annoyed, but that is when she told me not to return the Airpods and that she would buy them off of me. I agreed to her proposal. I later changed my mind, took them back, and told her she hasn't paid me anything yet, so I have the right to use them because they are my Airpods. I used them for a full day, and she didn't bug me for them. I thought that was the end of this dilemma we were having, but no. She stormed into my room the next morning asking for my Airpods. Being half awake and seeing her mad face, I felt like I had no choice but to give them to her. She used them the whole day, and when I asked for them back, she told me I had my previous ones. This morning, my little brother found and gave them to me, so I brought them to work. While I was at work, she sent me a message calling me a stupida, meaning stupid. It has a worse negative tone and meaning in Spanish. She sent me a whole audio message telling me that I should not count on her for anything, and that now I have to buy my own supplementary needs. Mind you, I have a part-time job, not a full-time one. I only work weekends for 6 hours each shift. So, am I the asshole for not letting her have them? Should I just give them back to her? Sorry for any typos. I wrote this at work. I think you are not in the wrong here. She definitely needs to pay for the Airpods instead of just taking them. It's not fair to hold things she pays for over your head to punish you. Your mom sounds pretty entitled, and it's important to set boundaries. Maybe offering her your old ones could help smooth things out. But either way, you worked hard for them and deserve to keep what you bought. Am I the jerk for texting my parent that I wanted to leave? My parents have been separated for almost 8 years, and our mom has full custody. My dad had asked my brother and me to visit his home this Saturday to celebrate our birthdays with him. I was very hesitant as I hadn't seen him for around 9 months. My brother, on the other hand, has been seeing him regularly for the last year. I decided to go in the end as my brother has been enjoying spending time with him and hasn't had any issues with him. My dad also told me that his parents would be there, which made me happier to go. Plus, my little brother begged me to. So yesterday, my mom dropped my brother and me off at our dad's house. It was just him, and his parents weren't there. He said they couldn't make it because their dog was sick. From this point, I was immediately on edge. I hadn't been alone with my dad for a long time, without another adult or one of my older siblings. My dad seemed overly excited and not sober. Things were fine for the first hour. I think he could tell I wasn't entirely thrilled to be there. At lunch, he started to get irritated with me because he was asking me personal questions, and I was answering too bluntly. At one point, he asked me, "Why are you hiding things from me? I'm your dad." He also drank 2 beers while we were eating lunch. By the end of lunch, I felt uncomfortable. During lunch, my mom had texted me asking me how things were. Afterwards, I was in the bathroom and replied that I felt uncomfortable as dad was drinking and had become irritable. She replied saying she could come pick me up early. I told her I didn't want to make dad mad by leaving early. She told me she and her boyfriend were going to leave now anyway and wait down the road. 20 minutes later, my brother dropped the TV remote and the batteries went flying, causing my dad to swear loudly at my brother and shout at him to be more careful. At this point, I texted my mom and asked her to pick me up. I told my dad a couple of minutes later that mom was coming to pick us up, and he predictably got mad and was asking why. My brother was a little peeved too. A few minutes later, my mom rang the doorbell. He started telling my mom he still had a couple of hours left and that she was early. She told him we were both coming now. An argument ensued, and after about 5 minutes, my mom's boyfriend got out of the car, came to the door, and basically told everyone to go. He had a short, unpleasant exchange with my dad, and then we finally left. When we got home, my brother was mad at me because he didn't want to leave. He and dad were playing video games. But he was mostly mad at me for causing issues with dad, saying it was my fault, things went badly, and I was overreacting. Was I the asshole? Should I have just sucked it up for a couple more hours for my brother's sake, knowing he didn't feel the same way as me and knowing my mom never would have let him stay there alone, knowing dad was drinking? Your brother has the right to be upset, but he might be overlooking some abusive red flags because he wants that father-son relationship. It's important to remember that your dad's job is to make you feel safe and comfortable, not the other way around. Instead of doing that, he drank and made you feel uneasy, which is totally not okay. Be proud of yourself for listening to your instincts and protecting your boundaries. You'll never be a jerk for leaving a place where you aren't comfortable. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.